Hey everybody, JJ here. It's another Wednesday of Zoom Networking. Thrilled to be here. Got one of my best friends on the call as a guest speaker today, talking about rock star in the house. Um, I've just come off a great weekend in Phoenix with Pace Morby's mastermind group. And you always want to surround yourself with fantastic people. And our guest speaker is no exception. He's a coach, he's an entrepreneur, business owner, real estate investor, Buffalo Bills fan, and one heck of a great guy, my friend Bob McIntosh. Bob, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on, JJ, and I'm excited to be here for all of you either watching the recording or here with me live.
Yeah, it's just good to have you back, brother. Always good to be hanging with Bob McIntosh, whether it's live or virtual. So looking forward to get back into Los Angeles again. Hey, so for those that don't know you, I know you kind of move about a little bit, but generally, where are you located? Where's your office located?
So I actually am all over the place right now. Technically, we're headquartered out of Gulf Breeze, Florida, up near Pensacola, but officially, I have been nomadic and 100% on the road since March of 2022.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Um, you know, some people don't know you. A lot of people do because you're very, very visible. You're a highly regarded coach and website designer. I'll just let that one out of the bag there. You designed my website, which I absolutely love. But growing up as a kid or maybe getting into your teens and adulthood, what are some of the things that made you that you've enjoyed doing? What are some of your interests that things you did before you got consumed with real estate?
So I was the consummate nerd. I played a lot of video games, a lot of computer games. I built computers, and then I actually got into hacking, and that was what I did for 6 years as an actual job. I got paid to hack banks, tell them how we broke their security and how to fix up all the holes that we discovered. So, and that in and of itself has a lot of fun, and there's a lot of I'll leave it at hobbies around that.
There you go. There you go. So your real estate journey. I know your dad is also a real estate coach like yourself. Did you follow him into that? Did you guys follow in that together? How did your life journey get you into real estate? When did that happen?
Yeah, so my dad was an entrepreneur always. He had his own business selling antique auto parts for Fords from the 1909s to the 1970s. So it's about as crazy niche as you can possibly get. Did very, very well with it. I think when he sold it, it was doing multiple millions a year, 50, 60 employees, something like that. So I always had that entrepreneurial side that I saw growing up. And so after I went to college, I was fortunate enough from my parents, my grandparents and everything to have about 10 grand left over when I left school. And I got a good job, and I say good. What that means is it was paying well at the time. But it also meant I was working insane hours. And so I had this money and I was like, I didn't know what to do with it. And so I basically sat on it. I had analysis paralysis for an entire year of trying to figure out what to do. And I finally read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he talked about real estate as an investment strategy. And I was like, I had never even thought about it from that perspective. And so I got super interested in it, and then actually ended up finding through the so after my dad sold his business, him and my mom built the dream house, and the guy who built his house, that contractor, happened to own a bunch of rentals in my hometown, and he was looking to sell one, and it was just about perfect. It was $110,000 at that time. I could put down $10,000 and get an investor loan because I had a W-2 job, and this is 2008, right? So it's a while ago, and so I took all my money, put it into this one property, and said, "Awesome! I now own real estate. I'm an investor! Yay!" and started making $200 a month or so on it. I was like, okay, this is great. This is not going to change my life. So where do I go from here? And so then we started getting into rehabs, bought our first rehab. And then my dad, who was basically bored from having sold his other business, was like, well, this seems like cool. Let's check this out. And he actually followed me into it, more than the other way around. And then here we are. Actually, I was just saying the other day, it's been 14 years. Yeah. Since I bought that property that we've been doing real estate. So a lot of things between then and now, but that was the sort of the start.
Now, when you got into real estate, I mean, I met you as a coach and being on stage in front of hundreds and thousands of people. How did that transpire? And I know that you were then involved with an education platform that was allowing me to become aware of you, what you were doing, things that were CRM related and internet related, as far as how to market it through the internet for real estate purposes. How did your interest in real estate then transpire into the CRM and the internet aspect, which is obviously going to lead into our topic today?
Yeah, 100%. So when we started doing real estate, our first rehab was down in Kearney, New Jersey. For anyone that's familiar with that area, just outside of New York City, about 6 miles outside of New York City. The deal was a complete and total unmitigated disaster. I did everything wrong. We lost a bunch of money. Like it was bad. But we learned a lot. And then in that process, we ended up not. I was actually moving to LA at the time, so I was like, "There's no point in building a business in New York just to move out to LA." And while my dad's in New York City, while my dad's in Buffalo, it just didn't make sense. And so then a couple of deals actually fell in our lap in Buffalo. So we started doing things there. And I quickly figured out, well, I live in LA, but we're doing deals in Buffalo. I've got to find a way to be valuable to the company. How do I bring my resources and attention and what I can do? Because I can't physically be at properties. There's only so much I could do. And so I got very good at marketing. I got very good at digital marketing specifically. And I got very good at raising money. Because obviously, when you talk to someone out in LA and you tell them that we're buying and fixing the house for a total of 175,000, and that's not even a down payment out here, they start to rethink the possibilities of what they can do. And so so that's what we did. I got very good at digital marketing, and for a long time, probably from I'd say 2011, 12 until really 2017, 18, when we stopped flipping houses and moved into the rental game instead. If you searched "we buy houses," "sell house fast," any of those keywords like that in any of the cities that we were buying houses in, I was number one, usually number two, and sometimes number three on Google. And so we just dominated that. And that generated about 35% of all of our deals that we ever did came from being able to be seen on Google in a small market like the Buffalo area. And so, several people started taking note of, hey, like, how are you doing this? Like, what are you doing? Right? Like, that's pretty crazy that you've been able to do this. And so from there, started building and teaching a program to show others how to do what I was doing. That led into websites and all that. And then several years ago, I parted ways with most of the education companies, which still actually to this day still teach the same curriculum that I built. And that's, fine, but things have changed a lot in the last 5 years, 6 years since I left, and decided instead, most investors I found fall into one simple thing. And that's this. You have 15, 20, 30 hats you have to wear as an investor, and it becomes very difficult for you to focus on all of those things. And while internet generally is accepted as something that I need to be doing, it almost always becomes the hat that gets worn the least amount, AKA it never gets done. And so instead of just teaching people how to do it, which I still do on calls like this, for example, we have just a done for you service. So I actually just said, you know what, instead of just showing you what you need to do, what if I show you and I just do it for you? Because 9 times out of 10, most investors would rather just pay me to do it versus do it and try to figure it out themselves. And the consistency of my team and being able to execute it is better. And there's also arguably no one who knows the real estate space in relation to digital marketing better than me. I would probably challenge just about anybody in that world. Because I'm one of the few people who's actively doing real estate while also running a marketing agency that helps real estate investors. So that's sort of the transition of 10 plus years.
Well, why don't we just, jump right into the topic today? And for those of you guys that are on the call right now, as we're moving forward, feel free to ask a question. And as we jump in, we got a question in the chat right here. And I'm going to just bring this guy on to start. Chasen, are you with us? Chasen, you still here?
You betcha.
Yeah, let me bring you on in here. Let you ask your question. Chasen, yeah, you got a pretty good question there. So Bob's probably going to touch on it, but why don't you ask your question?
I'm in the process of reading like 3 different books on AI and marketing right now, and it's so exciting and also so scary. Bob, I'm sure you are quite aware of that. So my question was, where do you see AI going in the next 5 years, especially in the last week or so? The chat CPT, whatever it's called, has been all over the news and stuff like that. That's only a beginning of what we're going to see in the coming years. So, Bob, the question is, where do you see us in 5 years in general with AI, let alone how it's going to affect real estate investors?
Yeah. And so I'm gonna pin that question for a second, and when I dive into my presentation, because there's some aspects I want to talk about, and I want to clarify some terminology that people are using so that everyone's clear. And I think in that process, it'll also be able to kind of touch on your question there.
That sounds great. All right, so let's, with no further ado,
We're gonna go through this presentation. If you have questions, just drop them right inside the chat box, and if I'm able to answer them as we're going along, I will. If I feel like it's gonna be better that us we can talk about it at the end, we can. Or if it's more of a like one-on-one question, like how does something actually apply to my specific situation? Either send me a DM or reach out to me after this, and we can talk. We can talk post, because I want to make sure that we make the best use of everyone's time. But the presentation today is really about this: how do we use AI in digital marketing as a recipe for more deals this year? And I'm going to go through a couple things as I go through this and sort of show you. I want to be very clear though. This is going to be more or less an introduction to AI as we go along. I was texting JJ, I was like, hey, how much time do I have? Because I could probably teach for like 3 days on what actually exists from the world of AI right now. But what I want to show you guys right now is how can you utilize it as a real estate investor today to get more deals in the next 12 months or so. And so we'll talk about all of that as we go along here. And again, any questions, please just let me know. So for those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Bob McIntosh. I've been doing real estate, as JJ just talked a little bit about, since 2008. That's actually a picture of my dad and I in the bathrobes there. It was the first time he ever got to have a massage. So I still show that. I think he might be a little bit embarrassed, but I love it. It's a great photo. I love traveling. As I was saying earlier, I've been permanently on the road since March of 2022. I live full-time, literally wherever I want to. So actually I'm in LA this week right now. I leave this weekend and I had to drive across country to Florida. I'm going to be in Nashville. I'm going to be in Cancun. And I'm going to be in all kinds of places. But been doing real estate for a long time. Flipped a lot of houses. I actually don't know exactly how many. There's a picture of one of them there. Wrote an Amazon best-selling book, which actually book number 2 is on the way right now, being published, or not being published, but being written partially by AI, which is a fun fact we'll talk a little bit about. And for all that. But I'm really here to help you guys, in each and every one of you, in your real estate business, do more. So Arcane Properties is my real estate company. 3 Degrees Consulting is my marketing agency that helps investors do more deals, close more stuff. We have a CRM, websites, all that great stuff. We'll get into some of that. But what are we going to actually talk about? What are we going to learn here? So first and foremost, we're going to learn what AI is and what it is not. I want to be very clear about the capabilities, the possibilities, where we're at right now, and what we're going to see going forward. How it's going to impact your business, because it absolutely will. I don't care what business you're in, you're going to have an impact from AI. Some of it will be great. Some of it will be bad. Some of it will be in between. Some of it will simply be what it is, right? It's going to be everything in between. I want to talk about how you can use AI to go faster. So for most of us right now, the next 12 to 24 months present a unique opportunity for us to grow at an unprecedented rate that we haven't seen since the Great Recession in 2008, 9, 10, right? And so I want to talk a little bit about how we can use AI to take advantage of that. And then the missing AI component that you need. AI is a great starting point, but it has its limitations right now. And if you don't do the right things combined with AI, there's no point in even utilizing AI in the first place. So we'll talk about all of that. So, and this is going to kind of get into Chase's question, but what the heck is AI? I have a personal pet peeve against the term AI. I actually hate the fact that everyone is essentially genericizing the term AI, because what we have today is not actually AI. What we have today and what we see is actually machine learning. And there's a big difference. AI is technically considered artificial intelligence, but and I have my own conspiracy theory beliefs about the fact that we're genericizing it so much so that when we actually have real AI that's actual, sentient technology, we're not quite so scared of it because we've been introduced to the idea of it. That's just my, crazy theory. And Chase, you were asking what I saw in 5 years. I think the reality is in 5 to maybe 8 years, there's a high probability that we'll have actual sentient machine technology, which is a very scary thing, but also a very cool thing. What does that really mean for us? Who knows? Could be Skynet, could be, iRobot, could be anything in between. I really don't know. But what I do know is this: what we really see today and what everyone's calling AI is not actually AI as much as it is machine learning. And what we've developed as a species in the last several years is the ability to generate code that can read mass amounts of data, has access to mass amounts of data, And because it can do all those things, it can make interpretations. And so when we look at what AI is actually doing, there's a really cool statistical theory called or it's called the law of large numbers, which means at a statistically relevant number, if something is large enough, we can predict what is the most probable outcome from that situation. And that's really what AI is doing, right? So if you say, hey, AI, write me an article about how to sell my house to a real estate investor, what it's doing is not just saying, oh, I'm smart and intelligent, I'm going to write an article about that like you and I would. It's going to say, I just searched for every known article around selling a house to an investor. I calculated the most probable outcome based on the recurring themes I saw, and I spit out something that's more or less based off of that information there. So that's really what AI is, right? And so I want to be very clear. But what does that mean for us? Well, it does mean there's some limitations. It does mean that it's not, it's not great yet, but it's getting there. But where do I see this going in the future outside of making a semi joke about, AI being sentient? The reality is AI is going to completely shift how a lot of work is being transpired right now. And it's going to shift specifically how a lot of low dollar an hour tasks that are being done in the world of marketing, especially, and computer functionality and things of that nature are being done. And what that means for us as humans, I guess you could say, is when we look at what's coming up, right? The ability for us to move faster, get things done quicker, cheaper, and easier will continue to happen at an unprecedented rate. If you think about the fact that Chat GPT, which is what everyone's kind of talking about because it's the free tool, Chat GPT just opened itself to the public like less than 45 days ago. So think about that, right? And I believe it was 12 days or 5 days, I think it was actually, Chat GPT hit 1 million users. It is the fastest growing technology platform that has ever existed in the human race, right? So the simple fact that in 45 days ago, we could not have had this conversation, because while there was a version of Chat GPT that existed, it was only being used for white label services like Jarvis, for example, and a few others. Or Jasper. I think it's actually Jasper now, not Jarvis. They got sued by Disney. Go figure. And that. So, when we talk about AI, let's be very clear about what we're really talking about here, which is the ability for us to get things, have a computer analyze mass quantities of data and spit out something that makes sense to us as accurately as it possibly can. Okay. So, Chase, hopefully that answered your question fully. If you feel like it didn't, just drop a chat in and we'll come back to that. But, there's lots of AI tools that exist, and feel free to take a screenshot of this if you want to. This is just a short list that I could fit onto one screen. There's actually about 10 times what you see here on the screen that exists. Not all of these are good. Not all of them are useful. Not all of them are relevant. In fact, most of them probably are not going to be. And so later in this presentation, I will walk you through some of the tools that I believe are the most relevant for us as real estate investors. And we'll go from there. So most people, when I share something like this about, hey, here's all these tools, they start to go like this. All right. So if me sharing that list made you feel like this, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat right now. If you're like, what the heck? Like, what is going on here? Because there's a lot of stuff out there, right? So there's tools for images and videos and chatting and writing and this and that and like a million things, right? And so how do we make sense of all this? Well, it's really simple. We ignore all of it. We're just going to ignore everything that's out there because look, there's going to be, and we're already seeing this. If any of you saw from about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, the rise of what we call the crypto bros selling, oh, you got to get in crypto, right? And then crypto crashed in February of 2022. And everyone like freaked out, and now they're all selling AI stuff instead, right? So there's going to be a million people talking about this because it's the easy thing to sell somebody on something, because at the end of the day, it's new, it's unknown, and folks don't know how to take advantage of it. And so my goal is not to teach you or sell you on how to use AI, right? My goal is simply to try to demystify a little bit of this, point you in the right direction of some things you can do, and then give you basically a baseline of how to utilize what's out there so that you can make this work for you. All right. So before you ever dive into all of AI, I first want you to ignore everything that you think you know, ignore all the things that are out there, ignore everything that everyone's talking about, and ask yourself one simple question. What is your goal? Why are you a real estate investor? What is the reason that you got into this game, right? When you think about all of these questions, right? When we think about what are we actually doing and why are we doing all of this, Usually it's the first answer I get is, well, I need to close more deals. Like that's what I'm here to do, right? I want to buy more flips. I want to buy more rentals. I want to buy more Airbnbs. I want to do multifamily, whatever it is. We're here to close more deals. That's how we, as investors, oftentimes quantify our goals. Okay. Well, for most of us, that's probably true. In fact, if your goal this year is to close more deals, go ahead and put a 2 in the chat. Let me know that you're wanting to close more deals. If you're like, hey, no, I got too many deals, put a 1 in. I'm curious to see who's got 1s versus 2s, because I want to make sure that this tailors to you guys. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of 2s, right? Yeah. So most of us want to close more deals, right? So for a lot of us, we've been real estate investors. We've only ever operated in a good market environment, right? Because really, since the Great Recession, we've been on an economic incline since that period. And so for those of us who've been in longer, like I know Chasen's been in for a while, right? And a few others here have been in for a while as well. We went through the downturn, especially the Great Recession, right? And it's as far as I can speak through, because that's all I've been through, right? I haven't been, even that was just, not too long after college for me. The thing is, when we look at that, if we always want to be closing, some interesting things have happened in the last few years, and that AI is going to have a big impact on. First and foremost, right? When we think about closing properties, the last 2 years especially has been historically difficult to close properties. Why? Because sellers have access to lots of free money. Buyers have access to lots of free money. Sellers are the beneficiaries of that. They've got unprecedented amounts of equity, and because of that, they don't need your all cash offer. Right? But that's changing, right? So if we look at, this is a picture of the U.S. residential investment from 1955 when they first started tracking it. And you'll see the red lines there are when we had recessions, okay? So red lines equals recessions. Every arrow I put there, I want you to notice something. The investment in real estate went down. Every single time there was a recession, it went down. Now, there's some cases where it's going up during the recession or things like that. And why do you think that happens? Well, it's very simple. Because what happens is investors like us go, oh my God, there's a massive amount of opportunity out there right now. I need to start buying things as quickly as possible. And so what I want you guys to understand is that right now, AI can help you in this downturn we're facing, no matter how good or bad it gets, right? And, I was just on a call with Ray Dalio not too long ago, and he said, you generally consider one of the brightest economic minds in the world right now, says it's going to get pretty bad. But guess what? As investors, I'm excited not because it's going to get bad for everybody else, but because the opportunity that will exist in the next 12 to 24 months to acquire property and build my wealth and build my financial future is unprecedented. If I knew what I know now back in 2010, I would literally today be worth multiple hundreds of millions of dollars, no doubt. Why? Just because I would have been able to acquire properties in unprecedented ways, especially using, for example, Subject 2, which I know a lot of you are Subject 2 people, right? I didn't even know that existed when I got started back then, right? And so the opportunity exists, okay? So if we know that this is true, we know that historically speaking, for literally, the last 100 years, every time we have an economic recession, the people buy less property, which means sellers become more motivated, which creates opportunity for us. If we know that to be true, then the next 12 to 24 months are not going to be about trying to find more sellers. That's going to be easier to do than ever before. What it's going to be about is trying to find more money so that we can tap into buying more properties, whether it be to flip, to wholesale, to Airbnb, to long-term buy and hold, to 1031 exchange, whatever your direction is, your exit strategy doesn't matter. The simple truth is that the next 12 to 24 months, you're going to need more money to do more than anything else. And the best thing about this right now is that when we have a recession, what happens to the stock market? It does the same thing. It goes down, generally speaking, right? And so if we know that it goes down, that real estate's going to become more available, guess what people want to do with their money that's in the stock market? They want to give it to people like us who are paying better returns on a more consistent basis because we're buying into something that's not tied necessarily directly to the economic outcome, because people still need houses. They still have to live in apartments. They still need to do this, right? That will always exist. So understand that the next 12 to 24 months, your entire social media presence, your website, everything you do should be focused on raising more money, because the deals will be there in most cases. Now, I do want to caveat what I'm saying, right? I don't have some magic crystal ball. I don't know the future. The last, really 5 years has been a weird conglomeration of events that really makes no sense. So what I'm saying today could be totally wrong, right? But if I am right and you need more money to buy more deals, why not do what I'm about to teach you? If I am wrong, you still have more money to buy more deals. It's a win-win, right? So no matter what, like this is going to be a good thing. Okay. So with all that, how is AI going to help? Right now, AI can do a couple of things pretty decently. Some things not so much, we'll get to. So first and foremost, it can do great content creation. It can do video creation. It can create pre-written communications, texts, emails, and messenger. It can raise money by helping you build awareness and build your buyers list by building awareness. Okay. This is what AI is good at right now today. Now, in a year, 2 years, I mean, shoot, maybe even in 6 months, right? It's going to have a whole lot more data. And Jason, sorry, I don't know why I have a friend named Chase, and I keep saying Chase, but I'm thinking Chasen. One of the questions you asked is, where are we going? Well, one of the things that's really interesting is that Chat GPT, which is one of the things that everyone's talking about right now, has a certain amount of data points, basically up to 2021. Okay. Chat GPT 3.5, which is the next iteration of it, has 400x as many data points as Chat GPT 3, which is what we're all using out there right now. So the next iteration, which will be available very soon, they're predicting in the next 6 months or less, has literally 400x, not 400 times as many data points. It is 400x larger in terms of its database that it can search and produce results from than what we're currently using. And what we're currently using is already pretty crazy. All right. So and Maji says, I would pay for that service. Funny you should mention that. In fact, ChatGPT literally just today rolled out a $20 a month paid subscription service, which will give you access to more data, more information, more uptime, more everything, right? These guys aren't stupid. By the way, people who own ChatGPT and OpenAI, which is where all of the AI technology is based on, the people who own that are like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, like these are billionaires that have invested in this. So that's an interesting thing. Michael, that's a great question. Does ChatGPT have access to public records and data? Yes, up until 2021. If that data was available publicly online, then yes. After 2021, no, it does not. It is limited to, I believe, the end of 2021 is, I believe, the actual terminology. Okay, so what AI won't do, and I put parentheses yet because this is changing rapidly, right? It can't write great content. It can write content, but not great content. Okay. It can't create great video. It can do some video. It can do okay jobs here and there, but it's not great. It doesn't send out communications. What I mean by that is, it's not reliable as a text messaging or email marketing service at this point, in my opinion. Are there things that do that? Yes. Are they reliable? No. They're getting there, but they're not there yet. It's not going to handle your closing for you right now, right? Like it's not going to go through and magically make things happen and wire money and notarize documents, right? Again, some point, sure, probably, but not yet. It's not going to fix your bad communication. So if we talk about raising money and finding investors as the two most important things for the next 12 to 24 months, well, guess what? If we can't communicate with those folks, if we can't show them what we're doing is what the right way, if we can't stay in touch and build the relationship, as JJ says, right? AI is not going to fix that for us. Okay. And right now, it's not going to automate anything. When I say automate anything, I mean, in other words, like someone can't just come in and things automatically happen and all the stuff that I want to happen happens the way it should, right? It's great at a lot of things right now from a creation standpoint, but it's not great at what's next. And the reason is it's not intelligent. Right. And we talked about this. It doesn't have the ability to think for itself. It simply is taking an input from a user, AKA us humans, and spitting out the most likely outcome based on mass quantities of data. And Chris asked why 2021? I don't know. That's when they stopped collecting and made the database available. My guess is simply it's a money play. Make it more or less relevant, get a lot of folks on, then charge $20 a month and give them access to the new stuff from the last, year, and people will pay for it all day long. Okay. Yeah. And so the other thing is this, right? AI is being implemented in lots of interesting ways. So people are always creating new ways to do things. And so literally tomorrow, someone could come out with something new that invalidates what I just taught you right here. So the best thing that you can do is just stay in touch with someone like me, follow me on social media, because I'll always be talking about whatever I find out there if I think it's relevant to us as real estate investors. Okay. But yeah, this is, kind of where we're at. So in short, there's a lot of opportunity here. All right. There's a lot of opportunity for us to create and be seen and raise more money and build our investor base and basically just come out the gate hot and really put ourselves out there. So as JJ always says, right? If you're not visible, you're invisible. Well, guess what? This is an opportunity. AI will give you the opportunity to become more visible than you've ever been before. It will give you the opportunity to be visible without having you to be, without you having to be the one that's actually being visible. And it will give you the opportunity to be more omnipresent than you've ever been before, whether you want it to be yourself, so you're actually the face, or not. Okay. This is what AI is creating the opportunity for. Now, if we know that that's the opportunity, I do have some bad news about AI. What's going to also happen simultaneously is that the market is going to flood with people pushing out more content because it will become easier than ever to do so. And so what this actually means for us as investors, that if you are not on the up and up of this, if you don't implement the stuff I'm teaching you in the next really 3 to 6 months, you're already going to be behind. In fact, if you're just listening to me now, you're probably already behind, to be honest, but that's okay. You still have time to catch up. But if you don't start for 6 months, 8 months, 12 months from now, guess what? The market's going to be so flooded with content, information, and stuff like that, that, at the end of the day, it will be substantially more difficult to catch up, because it's like, imagine you're at a racetrack, right? And the guy next to you, has got a Ferrari with the high-end fuel and a carbon fiber body that weighs nothing and is just ready to, already got his car revving and ready to go. And you're sitting next to him on on your moped. Okay, sure, you could catch up eventually, but it's just going to be that much harder, right? Because his Ferrari is AI, right? And yours is the moped, which is what everyone else is driving right now too. So everyone with Ferraris is going to go a whole lot faster, a whole lot further, and have a whole lot more. All right, so just keep that in mind. But that's okay, because you're here, you're listening to someone like me, you're plugged into a great group like JJ's, which means that you have the opportunity to stop for a second and say, well, okay, if that's the case, if I'm going to be flooded out of the market unless I do something, how do I do something and go forward from there? So let's take a look at the AI landscape right now as I see it for real estate investors, and how I believe you can use this literally right now. Like, you could get off this call today and start implementing this process. And by the way, not only am I going to show you what this looks like, I'm going to give you some of the tools that we're going to do it with, and I'm going to show you our process that we're doing for our clients to make this work even better for them. Okay. So no matter what, it starts with you as the investor. You have to initiate all of this. As I said, this is not self-conscious, aware AI. You have to initiate the process by giving it a command. We call them prompts in the world of AI. I prompt it to do something. It will give me back what I prompted, usually pretty close to what I want. Okay. So I give the AI a prompt. The AI then can do a bunch of things. Now, right now, you have to go to specific places to get specific things done. So if you want content written, you go one place. If you want an image created, you go to a different place. If you want a video created, you go to a third place. They're all individual. At some point, yes, it will all be wrapped into one. And there are some paid tools that allow you to do this in multiple places. But for the most part right now, think about AI as little individual silos. And all they're doing is using the information available in the OpenAI database to try to direct and create content based on what you're asking for in as an effective way as possible. Okay, so a couple of things that can be done. Number one, keyword ideas. So when we talk about SEO and getting seen and being out there, right? Keywords are the most important thing. You can literally ask ChatGPT to give me the top 10, 15, 20, 100, 1,000 keywords in my niche area, local market, whatever, and it will spit them out for you based on what it sees. Now, again, keep in mind, this is only accurate up to 2021. But for most of us in the real estate space, guess what? Keywords don't change too much between 2021 and today. It's not like e-commerce, which is rapidly changing. So keyword ideas is a great way to use AI. Blog posts. AI will write blog posts for you. It's great use of it. In fact, I just had Chat GPT spit out 12 blog posts in about 5 minutes for me, which is pretty cool. Now, there's some caveat to that. Stay with me, but it's a good starting point. Next, you can use it for email content. Email marketing is still one of the most effective forms of communication. When we talk about staying in touch with our private lenders and our buyers and letting them know about all these great opportunities that we know we're going to have in this market, guess what? Email will still be one of the most effective ways for you to communicate those opportunities to those people. So you have to have a way to do that, which we'll talk about here in a second, right? Video scripts. Obviously a great thing, right? You want to get more on YouTube, which is a whole different game. I won't necessarily dive into the details of that, but you want to create a video. Let's say you're like, hey, I don't even know what to say on a video for my website. You can literally ask Chat GPT to write a script for you about, what would I say to potential motivated sellers who are visiting my site and might want to sell their house, right? And it will write you a script just like that, and you can use it from there. Okay, texting content. This is a great way to use this. Text messages are the most effective way to communicate with people right now, even better than emails, which is number 2. But texting is great. Why is this good? Because literally I can ask AI to spit out a sequence of 100 text messages, and it will do so in just a couple of minutes. All right. This is one of the ways that we can work through that. Next is image creation. So obviously image creation is great. Now, I do want to put the caveat of image creation with a little asterisk here. There's a lot of debate right now on image creation specifically from a content standpoint, because really the only way for AI to create images is to look at other images and then derive something from it and then create it, which technically could be considered stealing. So if you have a fine line about being stealing from artists, then I wouldn't use image creation AI. If you're like, Bob, I don't care, I just want cool images for my stuff, then go for it. There's no way to know for sure what's the right answer here, because I don't think there is one, because this is all new stuff that we're figuring out as we go. Okay. So this is just some easy things that we can get started as a real estate investor to go. There's a whole lot more it can do. Absolutely. I know, someone in the chat said, hey, can I organize my calendar? Sure, to a certain extent. But like anything, right? Any database, any information, any technology right now, you put garbage in, you get garbage out. So just be aware that the information in is very good right now, but is it great? No, I would not say it's great. It's very good, but it's a good starting point. And case in point of that is this. All of these things I have up here, keywords, blogs, emails, videos, texting, images, are all great, but they must be reviewed by a human first, because it is not perfect. And I want to be very clear about this. If you ask it to write a blog post, you should not assume that whatever it says is true, accurate, or correct. A lot of times it will cite incorrect sources. When it comes to real estate investing, especially, a lot of times it says, oh, you should sell your house to an agent. Only an agent can get you the best offer. Well, we all know that that's not the case, right? We're investors. So understand that the content, especially in the investing niche, more so than almost any other niche that I've played with for AI, the content should not be trusted fully. It's a great starting point, but you need to review it for accuracy, for relevancy, and for what you're actually trying to communicate and whatever it is that you're creating, and to make sure it makes sense, right? Like, sometimes it spits out some things you're like, that's not right? Of course, this will get better over time, and at some point, I'm sure it won't need any human review at all, because it will be intelligent enough from the database that it has to do that. But for right now, today, in this current market, you should absolutely be reviewing everything that it spits out, because it's not to be 100% trusted yet, right? Now, next thing is, you still need to use the content it creates and import it into your CRM to send those texts, to send those emails, to communicate with your investors, your lenders, your sellers, and everybody else like that, right? You need to put it onto your blog, unless, for example, you're hosting your website with us, in which case you email us the blog, we'll put it on your site for you. It's one of the services that we offer as real estate investors for real estate investor websites. And you need to create the content and review it and put it on social media. It's not good enough yet in my mind to trust it to do that in the right way, with the right format, the right spacing, the paragraph breaks, the bold, bold italicize, all of those things, right? It's not good enough for that. It's good enough to create the initial version of content. You should review it and then you should put it out there. All right. That's how you should use this. And I want to really emphasize this. AI is great, but only if you're going to be reviewing the content information it creates, and only if you're plugging it into a great CRM, a great website, and a great social presence. Otherwise, don't even bother starting with AI, because the reality is, if you start putting out crap content, right, just because AI said it was good, you're going to lose attention quickly. And I've already seen this happen. People will have Chat GPT or whoever generate some content, they'll build the content, they'll push it out there, and guess what? It sucks. It's very clearly written by AI. If you generate enough things from AI, you will very clearly see that there is a pattern to what it does. And the moment you recognize the pattern, you know everybody else's pattern is exactly the same. So take it as a starting point, tweak it, modify it, and then push it into your CRM, push it to your real estate site, push it to your social media from that point. And all of this, guys, is simply designed to do one thing, and that's to garner more attention. If you want to win in the next 12 to 24 months, and when I say win, I mean close more deals, you're going to need more money, and you're going to need more investors on your side. To get that, you're going to need more attention. To get more attention, you need more content. To get more content, you need to have the right things that you're saying. To have the right things that you're saying, AI can help you as a starting point to do those things. But if you're not pushing the content out, if you're not email marketing, text marketing, storing information, tracking the results, seeing who's clicking what are your open rates, all of these things, if they're not being done, then it doesn't matter how good AI stuff is, because no one's going to actually see your stuff unless you push it out there. Okay. So that's super important, and I can't stress that enough. Okay, so how do we take all this stuff and how do we get it built? What tools actually exist? I have a list of tools here. Now, I gave you a huge list before. Literally, no joke, there are at least 10 times what I gave you before. Here's the ones that I have found to be, in my opinion, the most useful, the most accurate, and the most usable from a user standpoint of going from there. Now, some of these are paid, some of these are free, some of these are freemium, which means you get a certain amount for free and then you have to pay for more. So, take that into consideration of what you're doing. Generally speaking, the more you pay for something in this world of AI right now, the better you're going to get. For example, I think someone asked, if I saw a question in here, hey, like, can I, what if I don't like what it writes, or no, here we go. I've noticed that there's a limit on how many characters, how do I avoid the text limit? Well, the answer is, one, use a paid tool, because paid tools like Jasper, for example, have no limits. Or two, you're going to have to do a little more effort with a free tool like ChatGPT and say, hey, take this paragraph and rewrite it and expand this paragraph, right? So write 1,000 words off of this paragraph here. So the free tools usually require a little more effort, a little more playing around to get it to do what you want. The paid tools will usually have things like that. So for example, Jasper, for example, I can highlight a paragraph and say expand, and it will write more content for me based on it. But those are paid tools, not free tools. So you just have to understand how we're doing all this. So ChatGPT, okay, it is used to write anything. Can write blogs, emails, do keyword research. Really, it's a direct line to the OpenAI database. And by the way, all the tools I'm going to tell you about, every single one of these tools, they all use the same database. Every single one of them is tapping into OpenAI.com. All they're simply doing is paying for what's called an API access to it. But they're all pulling from the same data set. Okay. So it's good for anything. It's a free tool, but it does sometimes get overloaded. What does that mean? That means that it's shut down. You can't get access to it. It's only has so much capacity. And with the number of users that have logged in recently, you're seeing that more and more often, which is why literally today, they launched a paid version. It's $20 a month for the paid version that allows you to access it even when peak times, even during peak times. Also gives you some other things on there. I don't remember all what. I honestly didn't read the whole press release, but there is a paid version available now as well. Okay, Jarvis, or it's actually Jasper. So Jarvis was what it used to be called. I forgot they changed their name to Jasper. Same thing. If you go to Jarvis, I believe it just finds it there. This is what happens when you take something from Disney, and apparently they get pissed off and they sue you. So it has more functionality. Okay, it is a paid tool. It is great for emails, blogs, and social media content. Also can work really well for sales copy. It does a pretty good job with sales copy as well. What I like about Jasper is this. if you get their higher end version, I believe it's called Boss Mode, if I remember correctly, which is a paid tool. I can literally have it type something, and then I can say, use this outline to create content. Then I can highlight paragraphs and say, rewrite this paragraph or expand this paragraph or add another 200 words to this paragraph or things like that. It has a lot more user friendliness to it than ChatGPT does by far. Overall, I think it's a better tool for all of this, but it is a paid tool. You do not get access to that for free. You do have to pay to use it. Okay, copy.ai. And by the way, chat GPT, search for it. I think it's chat.openai.com. I think is the actual link. Jarvis or Jasper, I believe it's just jasper.com. If not, just Google search it. Copy.ai is the actual site. So you go to not .com, you go to copy.ai. They offer a limited free membership. I think it's like 2,000 words a month, and then you have to pay for it after that. It is great for emails, blogs, and social media content. I do think from a email creation, email sequence creation, and a blog creation, I believe copy.ai, in my opinion, seems to, whatever they've done, whatever they overlaid to the algorithm, seems to spit out the best results, in my opinion, for those two things specifically, and for social media content. It can do a lot of other things, but that I like that functionality for it a lot. I think it does a really great job there, specifically. Okay. Next, H-Super Tools. I believe it's just h-supertools.com, or just Google it, you'll find it. Great tool, lots of different things in there. But specifically, they have a bunch of free tools that will do a lot of things in your business, like keyword research, things of that nature. It's also great for rewriting content. And it's great for finding keywords. That's my top uses for H-Super Tools. Again, there's a lot of other things in there as well. Feel free to play around with them, but almost all of them are free on that site. So it's a great resource for that as well. It does have, like all the free tools, sometimes it does get overloaded. So you do have to be patient with it. If it's saying, hey, we can't do that right now, you might have to come back at a different time. You know, again, you get what you pay for in these cases. Okay, image creation. There's a lot of different tools out there. Honestly, I don't do a ton of image creation just because I prefer to have my face on things. But if you want to have images created, there's some great tools here. First is upscale.media. That's the website. It's not .com, upscale.media. So instead of .com, you put .media. This one's actually really cool. I don't know if any of you, I want you to put a 1 in the chat if you've ever watched Super Troopers. Okay, and you remember the scene in Super Troopers where they're looking for the guy and he's like, enhance, enhance, enhance. And the guy goes, just print the damn picture, right? Upscale.media is that, right? It will take a picture you have and it will use AI to fill in the gaps and create a higher resolution version of your picture, which is really, really cool. It can do that. Among many other things, it also does like color corrections and things of that nature, but it's just a really good tool for making images that you already have better quality. Yes, it's very much like DALL-E. It uses that technology in the backside. Okay, jrake.com, jrake.com. I like this one because it creates, I'll say, unique art forms. Like it does a lot of like oil paintings or like abstract art for things. It's a little weird, to be honest. The interface is kind of clunky, but it creates some pretty interesting images and does some pretty cool things. So it's worth checking out what it's building. It's one of the ones I kind of did like, so I put it in there from that. One of my favorites right now, supermeme.ai. So again, not .com, .ai instead of .com. This, you will give it a prompt and it will create a series of memes for you based on your prompt. People in social media love memes. So this is an awesome tool. You're going to see a whole lot more memes than you've ever seen before simply because of this. Is it perfect? No, but it does a pretty good job, especially if you're not like the most funny of people like trying to create all of these. It does. I believe Super Meme gives you, I think, 20 prompts a month for free. If you want more than that, you have to pay. But each prompt, it gives you like, I think, 6 or 8 or 10 different memes from your prompt. So, it generates quite a few things for you from there, but, pretty neat tool from that standpoint. And then photo being FOTO, and then the letter R.com, a good image creation site. And by the way, guys, these are not like, there's literally thousands of others. If you know of one, sure, I'm not going through all of them. We'd be here for the next 5 days with me just talking, listing out links, right? These are the ones that I've used that I like, either the interface or the results that they're getting. Because sometimes like JRake, for example, I think the interface is not very good, but the results, like I generally kind of like it. So these are sort of the ones that I've been leaning towards. There's obviously a whole lot more out there than this, but these are ones that can do all the things that I have listed on the left there for you. Okay. Now, next thing, this is super important. All right. And by the way, screenshot this. I'll leave it up here for another second or so. Screenshot this to take note of all those. Or of course, you always have access to the recording. If for some reason you don't get it or you lose your screenshot or whatever, you need to see these in higher res, just reach out to me via email or messenger, and I will send the list to you. Now, here's the thing. All of this stuff is great for creating content. All of this is great for building our presence online, getting seen, and attracting attention. But at the end of the day, we still have to do marketing, and all of that stuff is still going to lead to basically 3 places. People are going to look for us on our website, on our social presence, and through our CRM vis-a-vis communication via email or text. So if you're not having and overlaying these platforms on top of this AI stuff, then there's no point in starting with the AI stuff. This is more important. I would rather that you build a great website, have a good social media presence and a good CRM versus mess around with AI, because AI is not going to get you deals by itself. It's going to allow you the opportunity to be seen in these platforms, which is just the starting point. After you're seen, you still have to build credibility. You still have to create great communication. You still have to stay in touch with the folks that are interested in working with you. If you're not doing those things, it doesn't matter how good your AI stuff is, it's not going to get you more deals. Okay. So, and I know I've harped on that, but I see too many people being like, oh, I got all this great AI stuff. And I'm like, okay, how's your email sequences? Well, you know, and I'm like, okay, well, use AI to build that first and then put it in a great system like ours and then go actually message the folks that are talking to you, right? Start there. Okay. So all of this really creates trust, right? You have to build trust. As a real estate investor, you do not want to be the guy in the pink shirt, right? You want to be able to build trust for your folks, your lenders, your other investors who are buying your wholesale deals, the sellers who are selling you their houses, like your contractors, everyone that you deal with in your business needs to be able to trust that you're doing the right thing for them. And if they can't do that, then there's no point in your business is not going to survive. I'm going to tell you right now, I can list off probably 15 investors who didn't build trust. In fact, did the opposite, and they're no longer in business. Why? Because this is a small world. If you do the wrong things the wrong way, people will find out. Right? Like there's a reason why JJ keeps having me back. There's a reason why if you go out to the internet and look around for me and you talk to folks about me and my business, you'll be hard pressed to find anyone talking crap about me. Why? Because I always build trust. I always put good out there, knowing that in the long term, it will be there. And AI is all that's doing for me right now is simply helping me put more trust out in the world. And it should do the same for you, but you still have to have the back end systems, right? So understand this. AI will help you get more attention. More attention equals more winning, right? More attention equals more winning, more deals, more money, more opportunity, more everything. If you have attention, you will. Why does Pace Morby have so many students on there? Because he's the master at garnering attention. Right? Why does Fortune Builders and Fan Merrill and Tarek El Moussa and the Property Flipping Brothers and why do all of them have their own education platforms? Because they have attention of people. So your goal should to be think like them. How can I garner more attention? How can I use AI to create more attention? When I create more attention, I create more opportunities for me to win in my business. And when I say me, I mean you in this case, but all of us collectively together. Okay. So if we understand that intention is important, and we understand that AI can help us garner more attention, I'm going to share with you next what I call the content creation continuum. This is the process that my company, 3 Degrees Consulting, right now does for some of our clients, right, to help them get as much attention as possible with minimal effort. Okay, a lot of attention, minimal effort, and yes, we're using AI for some of this stuff. This is the 3DC omnipresence process, or the content creation continuum. Okay. So we use AI to generate ideas, topics, scripts, all of that. And then we have our clients film one 15 to 30 minute video. From that one video, We then create one full podcast episode, one blog post for their site that they host with us, one newsletter that they can send out in our CRM, one YouTube short video, so some shorter component of the longer video over here, one faceless video where basically we just take the words and overlay them with no, like basically like B-roll. Then we subsequently create 7+ tweet cards, 4 Facebook posts, 4 IG posts, 4 IG reels, 4 TikToks, 4 YouTube shorts, 3 to 4 Facebook stories, 3 to 4 IG stories, 1 Pinterest post, 1 Instagram carousel feed, 1 LinkedIn carousel feed, and 1 LinkedIn article. Okay. Now you're probably looking at this going, holy crap, Bob, you're smoking crack. There's no way I have time to do all that. And you probably don't. Why? Because this takes a fair amount of time for doing all this, right? We have a full team in place that makes all this happen. And we pay for several AI tools. We pay for them to help us with this process to generate it faster for our clients, right? Because there's obviously opportunities at scale for something of this nature. Right. But understand that what AI is allowing us to do is understand what we should be creating a video about. Then we can go create the video. And from one video, we can spawn a lot of content. And because we can do this faster than ever before, it allows us to garner more attention. But it also allows everyone else to do the same thing. So you've got to start upping your game. And I know most investors are like, ugh, I don't want to do that. Right. That's where you reach out to someone like me. My team can absolutely help you with this process if you want to. Okay. So after you do all of that, guess what? You still have to have a great website and you still have to communicate through your CRM. So if you do all of this stuff here, you're going to have a lot of tension. I'm sure some of you who follow me have seen a lot of my videos online recently. Why do I know that? Because I get on an average video I post to social media between 1 and 4 comments of people asking about working with me in some capacity. Why? Because I put out a lot of content from things exactly like this. But you still have to have a great website, and I still have to have a way to capture their information and communicate with them. If I don't do that, I'm losing all day long. All right? So that's all I got for you. I know that was a lot, but I wanted you guys to have a good starting point. Again, my name is Bob McIntosh. I do have my own CRM that will help you do email marketing and text marketing. If you're interested, let me know. And we can do all the social media stuff with you as well. If you are interested in that, let me know. And we also obviously do websites. We built JJ's and a bunch of investors on here. I actually see some of our clients' names on here. Happy to help you guys in that front too. Just reach out to me, let me know. Here's all my information. Here's the deal. I don't have anything. I'm not going to do a hard pitch and sell you on something like that. If you're like, man, that sounds cool and I might want to hire Bob's team, reach out to me. If not, no big deal. Either way, you can follow me on all my social platforms for great free content. The process I literally just showed you, we do for us and our brand and myself. So you're going to see a lot of my content out there. Why? Because this is what we do. So it would be kind of weird if I wasn't doing the same things I'm telling you guys should be doing, right? So that's all I got for right now. Yeah, thank you guys. I'm seeing a lot of thank yous coming in. Thank you guys, right? Like you gave me your time. I don't take that lightly. I have a massive amount of gratitude for each and every one of you for spending, the last almost hour or however long we've been talking, 45 minutes, whatever, on this topic. So thank you guys for taking the time to come in and, hopefully you learned something good. Because, and by the way, this is just a starting point. As I learn more, I'll be sharing more. I'm sure I'll be back on JJ's event here at some point in time. And I have my own real estate group as well that I do some videos into. So just come follow me for more great content. And if you'd like to work with me, I'd love to work with you.
What I wanted to ask you, Bob, is, we're about to culminate the video here. My group's a networking group, and I talk about networking. And obviously, everyone that comes on talks about a different aspect of real estate, which is why we're all here. It's a commonality. From a networking standpoint, whether one is a brand new investor or a seasoned investor who might be new to social media, what is the importance of networking in addition to marketing via the social media platform? In particular, what's the importance of joining maybe a networking group like mine?
100%. So let's talk about networking, because it is one of the most critical components of your investing business. Real estate's a weird world in the sense that we are required as investors to deal with a lot of very specialized and different kinds of people, right? We've got motivated sellers who are usually in a fight or flight kind of mode. We've got people with lots of money who want to lend it and are worried about protecting it. We've got other investors who are trying to make their money by working with us. We've got agents who want a piece of the pie. We've got, mortgage brokers. We've got, hard money lenders. We've got contractors and insurance agents. And, there's literally like 20 different kinds of people people who all have different goals we have to deal with. It's unlike any other business that exists. Like if I sell a software service, right, I've got developers and customers. That's about it. And sales guys, maybe like that's 3, right? It's way easier. So in this business, if you want to continue to grow, it's always going to be about building your network. And a couple of things that I think are super important in relation to that. Obviously, number one, you've got to go to events. You got to be on calls like this, be seen out there, be known, right? In the virtual sense and the in-person sense, if you have the opportunity to do that. Okay. Number 2, you're only as good as your last introduction. So when someone meets you on a call like this, they meet you at an in-person event like JJ was out in Arizona last weekend with that, right? If they meet you and they connect with you on social media and then they never see anything from you again, they will forget about you quickly because they're probably out there talking to a lot of people. And the only ones that stay in the front of their mind are the ones that they see on a continuous basis. So being seen, like he says, if you're not visible, you're invisible is 100% true. And you've got to stay present, focused, locked in, be at the events. Look, even an event like this, right? Even if you're like, hey, I don't necessarily need to listen to a call about ABCD topic because I've already know a lot about it. Well, guess what? Just log in and be here anyways. Log in, be here, participate. You never know. You might take away something that you didn't know. And even if you don't, guess what? You're being seen. That's a good thing too. People know who you are. So that's a lot of benefit. And then the last part is this, right? We oftentimes think about networking as this extemporaneous thing that's like, hey, we do over here. Like we go over here, networking is like, it's in our minds almost a separate category or box, right? I want you to think about networking like your hand. You don't think about your hand as some weird thing that you do things with, right? It's literally an extension of your body, right? If I did like this right now, I said, hey, shake my hand. I bet you most of you on this call right now are like your hand is subconsciously reaching out to try to grab mine, right? Networking is the same way. And the best way that you can use your hand is to start the handshake. But guess what? Afterwards, the handshake, we do the pat on the back, or, maybe we fist bump, or, maybe we high five. We do a lot of things with our hands. Okay. Networking is the start. It's the handshake. But your CRM and your website and your social presence and you're being present on calls like this, that's the continuation of your hand. And it should be looked at as a part of what your hand does, not some extra thing that you do out there. And if you focus on doing that, you will build great relationships to the point at which you don't need to raise money. Like one of the things, I said I did SEO for a long time and I don't in my market anymore. You want to know why I don't do SEO anymore? Because I've built so many relationships in Buffalo that there's probably not a single investor in Buffalo who doesn't know who we are already. And so I don't have to market for deals because I just bring them to me. Right. And so, but that didn't happen overnight. That took 10 plus years of working hard to maintain and build the right relationships, just like JJ teaches.
Cool, my friend. Thank you so much. So if you guys are watching the video right now on YouTube, please like Bob's video. Please give us some comments down below. If you guys are on the call right now, hang on. We're going to go to the breakout rooms. Sherry Lash is going to give us her life story and sing a song for us. But hang on, we're going to do some networking in breakout rooms. And again, look for more upcoming videos on Flip Side Up with JJ. We've got some great speakers coming up. A lot of the rock stars from Sub Q, if you guys are part of the Sub Q community. Stay tuned for what we've got coming up. And again, if you're on the call, please hang out for the breakout rooms, live networking. On behalf of Bob and myself, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you if you're watching on YouTube for watching the video. And if you guys aren't in the group yet, you're watching on YouTube, please look for my website, jjazizian.com. There's a pulsating register now button. Click the register now so that you can get into the networking group. And if you're an investor, new investor, you're out there, you're a wholesaler, bring me your leads, guys. Bring those leads to me and we'll make something happen with those things. So again, you don't ask, you don't get. So letting people know what I'm into, where my markets are going to be East Coast. But please work with me, network with me, join my group. Bob, we ready to say goodbye?
I think so.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.